여러분 안녕하십니까? 미주중앙일보 최인성입니다. 룩킹포맘은 7, 90년대 미국으로 입양 온 한인 입양아들을 소개하고 그들이 한국의 친부모를 찾도록 돕는 그런 프로젝트입니다. 한국전쟁 이후 무려 20만 명에 달하는 한국인 입양아들, 입양인들을 위해 저는 오늘 또 카메라를 켰습니다. 앞전 영상들에 보여주신 여러분들의 관심과 사랑 그리고 댓글 잘 봤습니다. 매우 감사합니다. 뉴욕에서 수학교사로 일하는 이지연 씨는 3년 전 딸아이를 낳았습니다. 20대 때 했던 친부모 찾기를 포기한 지 10여 년이 지났던 시기였는데요. 어린 딸의 눈망울을 보면서 다시 한국에 생모를 찾기 위해, 친엄마를 찾기 위해 용기를 냈다고 합니다. 한국에서 1년 동안 교사 생활을 하면서 어머니를 찾기 위해 노력했지만 남아있는 기록도 많지 않고 기관과 단체들의 도움도 생각보다 열악했다고 합니다. 뉴욕의 수 리스버거 이지연 씨를 초대합니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
반갑습니다.
반갑습니다.
I know who you are briefly, but to our viewers and listeners, tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Sue Risberger, and I am in New York City. I'm a teacher, a high school teacher at a public high school in Manhattan, and I grew up in upstate New York.
I see. Your documents say your birth parents are not married. It doesn't have any names on it, no numbers, no date of birth. Do we know anything else by any chance?
No, we don't know anything else. Yeah, I mean, I never did a birth family search, which I'm sure I'll get more into during the interview. But the only information that I have is in the files, and that's all I've ever known.
I see. According to the paperwork you sent us, it looks like you're named by agency 이지연, writing exactly right. It writes in your teachers. Now, who named you 이지연, and why is the last name Lee there?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess, as with adoption, there's always more questions than answers. And I guess something that I've learned more about as I've done more reading and research lately is that the agency will name you, or the hospital will name you, or maybe even that the name that you grew up thinking that you were born or given wasn't actually the name that your birth parents gave you.
Was there any chance that your last name was like handed down from your birth mom?
I guess there's always, there's definitely that possibility. I hope that my name, my birth name, was given to me by my birth mother, because that would have more meaning and significance. But I think until we're actually to contact them or to learn more about what's in my adoption files, if there is anything, that would still be unclear.
I see. Now, tell us about your adoptive family and also your journey to New York back in the days. When, how? Tell us about your adoptive families, mom and dad, your nice, handsome 3 brothers.
Yeah, so I was adopted to Rochester, New York, which is upstate New York, when I was 4 months old. And, I always grew up knowing that I was adopted. It was never a question. I grew up in a very Caucasian neighborhood and school, whereas most of the kids that were Asian were likely to be adopted. And there weren't many people of color. So, that's sort of the I guess, racial makeup of the circumstances in which I grew up and where I went to school. But I look back at my childhood and, I'm incredibly grateful, and I have such a supportive and amazing family. And, my parents, they really wanted a girl after having 3 boys.
Okay,
So then I came along.
I see. Now I have some of the pictures that you sent us. I guess this is right after you arrived here, or even before you take off of Gimpo Airport. And this was taken by the
When I was 1 month old.
foster home, I guess.
Yeah, that is the photo that my parents received from the adoption agency. And that's just my mom's handwriting on it. I think just
Okay.
wanting to document
I see.
how old I was when she received that photo.
Okay. And then you finally arrived in the, I think, JFK, right?
Yes.
And that's your adopted mom?
Yep.
I see. Okay. Cute. And then you settled in the family. I see these 3 nice brothers and mom and dad right there. And you grew up a little, say 1 or 2 years old with your brothers. This nice little red sofa right there.
I think that's a sofa from like the 70s and 80s for sure, that iconic style.
Is this the oldest brother?
That's my oldest brother.
I see.
Yeah. So that was taken outside my family home. He's 10 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
And he, I always feel, they all took care of me. And yeah, and just, I think back to my relationship with them and even my relationship now. And, we definitely like had some typical sibling moments, but for the most part, I feel like they were very kind to me, given that I was the youngest and the only girl.
I see. Now you grew up in New York and you decided to become a teacher. I think you're teaching math, right? And what's the motivation behind it, and how did it go being a teacher there?
Well, Brian, I feel like my journey to becoming a teacher was not direct. So for a while, I had traveled a lot. Prior to settling in New York City, I traveled to 18 countries, Korea being one of them.
I see.
And yeah, my first like real independent experience abroad was in Ireland, and that's when I studied abroad. And that just really opened up my eyes to the world and what was out there. And after that, I was just very curious to see more and learn more.
I see.
And I think in the back of my mind, I was always searching for a place to settle or to call home. And through various paths, New York City became it. And before I settled in New York City, I was in Korea. So I think that year that I spent there was the answer, in a sense, that I was looking for in terms of like, could I live in Korea? Could I spend more time here? And I realized that I couldn't. So
I see. Now, you said you had a conversation with your daughter, even if she's really young and even if it's not a colloquial conversation. You had something that you shared with your daughter, and that made you come out and look for your birth parents again. What was the conversation about? What were you two were talking about?
Well, it wasn't so much a conversation. It was more just, me giving birth to her And realizing that, that one day she would ask questions.
Okay.
And, natural questions that I wouldn't have the answer to, that I wanted to give her. And prior to, having her, her name is Zoe. Prior to having her, I was definitely curious about my birth history and birth family and all of that, but it wasn't something that I sought more information on for myself. It was always like this question mark, but I was okay with it being a question mark.
I see.
Whereas now with her, I really want to give her answers.
I see.
When she's able to ask the questions that I anticipate her asking.
I see. I'm glad you decided to do so. Now, we have a group of high school students who are supporting this project. They usually come up with a nice little video. They sometimes sang, they sometimes wrote nice drawings. But this time we have a visiting supporter. Are you ready to watch this?
I'm ready.
Let's watch this.
안녕하세요. 저는 남가주 오렌지 카운티에 있는 플러튼 칼리지에 재직 중인 바이올리니스트 박윤재입니다. 여러분이 지금 들으신 곡은 한국분이라면 모두 다 아시는 고향의 봄입니다. 중앙일보 주간으로 룩킹포맘이라는 해외 입양인 이야기에 대한 프로그램을 접하게 되었는데요. 6.25 전쟁 이후 현재 해외 입양인들의 수가 20만 명을 넘었다고 합니다. 그분들에게 고향이란 어떤 의미일까요? 친부모를 찾는 과정에 있어서 해외 입양인들이 구조적인 문제를 많이 겪고 있다고 합니다. 최근 친자 소송을 통해 친부모를 제외했다는 입양인 소식에서도 볼 수 있듯이 해당 복지기관들의 입양인 가족 찾기에 대한 지원은 매우 소극적이라고 들었는데요. DNA와 혈액검사를 데이터베이스로 만들어 진일보한 시스템을 구축했다고 자랑하지만 아직도 친부모의 존재를 확인하고도 문전에서 거절당하는 경우가 많다고 합니다. 기관들이 자료와 정보를 공유하지 않아 좌절하고 돌아서는 입양인들도 적지 않다고 하는데요. 우리가 버렸지만 그래도 되돌아온 국민의 최소 권리로 보호해야 하는 것이 맞지 않을까 싶습니다. 피를 물려받은 부모를 만나 한 번이라도 안아보고 싶다는 입양인들을 30, 40년 전 규정과 구시대 기준을 근거 삼아 내친다면 이는 정말로 비인도적인 짓이 아닐까요? 어렸을 때 미국으로 건너와 미국 시민권도 얻지 못하고 한국 국적도 말소된 분들이 많습니다. 이러한 문제를 한국 정부가 최선을 다해서 해결해 준다면 정말 멋진 대한민국이 되지 않을까요? And I want to say something to Ms. Sue Riesberger. I hope for the best for you, even though we have not met before. I can feel the pain and the struggles you have gone through. We as a Korean community will be with you. 힘내세요. 감사합니다.
That was a Professor Park Yoon-jae from a local college, Fulton College. How did you like it?
That was beautiful. Yeah, I am trying to learn. I know that was like more of a classical piece, but I'm trying to learn fiddle. So I was admiring his, just his skill. and his message. You know, I'm really appreciative.
I see. Thank you, Professor Park. So you did your own homework. If it's not still incomplete, or it is not complete yet, you did your own research after college, and you even decided to go there and spend a year teaching students. Why wasn't it successful? What did you get handy so far?
So yeah, I did contact the adoption agency. It wasn't to, you know, learn more information about my biological parents or anything. I wasn't interested in that at the time, just because, you know, if something did surface, that obviously requires much more of a emotional commitment and preparation. But I did want to inquire with the adoption agency if there was any information about foster care. So I did learn that that I was under the care of 2 foster mothers. The adoption agency did share that with me. And they also shared that the name of the clinic where I was born.
I see.
But, you know, when I inquired about visiting, they said that it was no longer in existence. So, you know, I'd basically just be visiting some other piece of property that didn't represent the hospital where I was born. So I just sort of gave up.
I see. Nowadays, the Korean adoptees are kind of rushing to take this DNA test with the websites called 23andMe. As far as, I mean, it is concerned, there are many ways to get this done, and they do show result. Even the Korean Police Department has a DNA database where you get your DNA samples to a local consulate or embassy over there in New York, I believe. Have you taken any DNA tests, or if not, are you going to take any DNA tests?
I haven't taken any. I'm hesitant just about the data, you know, and it going to a company, and knowing that, you know, that data can be tied to my daughter and my husband, and just being cognizant of, you know, their history and their privacy. You know, but I'm not 100% against it. I just am not, I guess, ready for it. But I have thought about submitting DNA to, I think it's NCRC, which is the Korean registry.
I see. Great. Now, this is the time for you to talk to your birth mom. Let's say she's watching this video and you have your own time to tell her something. What are you going to say to her? Take your time.
I guess.
Take your time.
I feel, you know, I'm reading right now Nicole Chung's book, All You Could Ever Know. So I'm sort of at that place in the book where she's writing a letter to the intermediary for her birth mother. And, you know, obviously as I was reading it, the thought was crossing my mind about, like, what would I say or what would I write? And I think, you know, I think nothing, sorry, I'm gonna get upset. Nothing that I could come up with, I think would be right, or I would be satisfied with. I think, you know, more than anything, I think that the decision to give up your child for adoption is incredibly difficult, even if you don't have the means and the support in order to give your child the life that you want for them. You know, so I guess just one of, thank you for making that very hard decision. And also, you know, I'm not angry or mad. It's more that I just have questions that I think could help me understand sort of maybe life decisions that I've made, or just answers that I know my daughter will ask questions to. You know, for me, I think that that's more important than anything. You know, even when it comes down to just like medical history, you know, that's something that most adoptees don't grow up having information on, which can be traumatic when you're going to the doctor. So, you know, thankfully I'm happy and healthy, and you know, I'd love to learn more about the circumstances surrounding my adoption and just, you know, my birth family's life as well.
I see. So basically, you understand and respect the decision that she made, and you're not angry, you're not mad at her, but just you have questions that you want to be answered by her.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, I know you're busy and everything with the little girl. Tell us your next steps, even if it is even if it is not right now. What's your next step? What do you want to do with this? Where are you going? You going back? You have any plans to take? Tell us.
So I would like to definitely travel to Korea with my daughter and my husband. You know, the last time I was there, I think was 2016.
Okay.
And I had wanted to go this year, but then COVID. So hopefully, I don't think next year, but I think in a couple years.
I see.
You know, I'd really like to go with my family, and hopefully by then, you know, I'll have more information, whether or not it's, you know, there's more information provided, or I just have the same information that I have.
I see.
I definitely want to go there and expose her to, you know, part of her heritage and part of her culture.
I see. All right. Say hi to your husband and your little daughter. Thanks for your time.
I will. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
keep
you so
our
much, Korea Daily.
we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. So don't worry about it.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. 자, 뉴욕의 수 리스버거 씨하고 이지연 씨하고 대화를 나눠봤습니다. 이지연 씨 역시 여러분의 도움이 필요합니다. 어떻게 돕냐고요? 이 영상을 여러분들 혼자 보시지 마시고 주변 분들에게, 여러분들 모임 많으시잖아요. 네, 뭐 배드민턴 모임, 테니스 모임, 등산 모임, 골프 모임, 여러분들이 속한 이런 모임들에 좀 퍼뜨려 주십시오. 뭐 그게 카카오톡이든지 뭐 DM 메시지든지 알려주시면 많은 분들이 좀 보시고, 아, 나 이 사람 누군지 알 것 같다, 내가 좀 찾아줄 수 있을 것 같다 하는 분들이 나오시면 그때부터 이렇게 도움이 쌓여서 우리 입양인들이 부모님을 찾을 수 있게 될 것으로 봅니다. 대전 출신의 이지연 씨, 어머니의 성을 따라 이름을 지었을 가능성이 있고요. 뉴욕으로 입양돼 지금 현재는 수학 선생님으로 고등학교에서 교단에 서고 있습니다. 우리 모두가 함께 관심을 가져보면 어떨까 싶습니다. 룩킹포맘 영상은 여러분 알다시피 광고 수익을 내지 않습니다. 입양인들이 한국의 부모와 다시 만나게 되는 순간이 바로 저희들의 수익입니다. 룩킹포맘은 경동나비의 미국법인이 후원해 주셨습니다. 다시 한번 감사드리고요. 진행에는 최인성이었습니다. 다음 인터뷰에서 여러분들 다시 만나겠습니다. 여러분 고맙습니다.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Iji연님이, and I am the president of National Center for the Rights of the Child, also known as the NCRC. The NCRC is the one and only government institute in Korea responsible for developing and implementing child policies and child welfare related projects. Well, every year we handle about 2,000 requests from adoptees to find their birth families and support them with our post-adoption services. Well, we are working diligently, and we are here to listen to you and to help you navigate the search process in any way we can. We are working to enhance the adoption information disclosure system, as well as the laws and system in Korea, so that adoptees wishing to reunite with their birth families can access necessary information with ease. We will also expand the DNA test program to help more adoptees with little records about their birth parents successfully reconnect with their birth families. We are always here to help you find your family. We want your search to be successful. We are working closely with the government and the other agencies and are supporting network building for the adoptee communities. The NCRC and Korean government will continue to listen to you and aid your journey to reconnect with your birth family. Thank you. 감사합니다.